RFK in the USA. RFK in the U.S. Listen, you know our position. We're not RFKers or the Gabbards men, or we're not like Trump people. We're just people who are looking for truth and constitutional ethic. And this was good yesterday and the day before. We're going to talk about Robert Kennedy and all the stuff that went down. And we will have others in the future. So find out all this and more on Self-Evident Podcast. Yeah, so welcome to Self-Evident Podcast. You got Massey, you got Mike.
Hello.
I'm feeling the spirit of Eeyore in this room. Was me. Anyways, no, there's nothing to do with that. Like, we've got a lot to think about, talk about. RFK is really spitting some bars, and we got to really knuckle down here on what's happening, because they're saying things that nobody was willing to say for a long time. So, again, if you've never been to The Self-Evident Truth, if you have been to theselfevidenttruth.com, if you've attempted to go to theselfevidenttruth.com and still have not done it, do it again, because there's a lot of fun stuff on our website.
So there.
Get a shirt, get all that. I mean, look, I always rep the merch. I don't rep anyone else's merch anymore because I'm very selfish. And so if you guys buy a shirt, it goes to a small Mexican family in Florida, all these proceeds. So
I thought this was a nonprofit.
yeah, I thought now people are going to call ICE on me or something. Can you imagine?
If you buy a shirt, we can stay.
There's a whole lot to talk about with that. Deportation stuff. You know, it's funny. You said something this morning about deportation. I'm going to get back to RFK, but he said for a long time, because we were talking about it, and people that have been here for 20 years knew they were doing illegal things, and all of a sudden now that they're deporting,
Freaking out.
they're freaking out saying this is an injustice. It's like you were living on borrowed time, you said.
Yes.
I was like, man, it's so good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They got comfortable. And Pedro used the example. He's like, if you harm somebody 20 years ago, but the law hadn't caught up to you until 20 years later, you don't have the right to go, this is an injustice that I got caught.
Right.
Delayed time, but sooner or later it's going to come due, and it's going to sound very insensitive, but you broke the law.
Yeah, you
were
did.
living on borrowed time. You got 20 years of time here where you got comfortable. You thought you wouldn't be found out. And man, if there is a spiritual principle in that, like, be very wary. Your sin will find you out.
Yeah, definitely. What does he say? If any man comes another way, he's a thief or a robber. It's like that analogy that Christ used. And I want to say this too. Like, on every street corner, it seems like there's an immigration lawyer. So really, there's no excuse. Well, it's expensive. Yes, it is expensive. It's supposed to be.
And all those people who did it the right way spent a lot of money that you just, I don't have to do it that way.
Yeah, or, sometimes there's bosses out there that sponsor their people to come in and to get their papers and their citizenship. So it's not about being insensitive here. And guys, when you look at what Trump was saying, there are exceptions. He's not like deporting every Mexican and every person, It's stupid. It's just liberal tears, really. It's what it is. But anyways, let's get back to this. So, like, RFK, right?
Here we go.
So we're everybody's on this Make America Healthy Again type of initiative. You guys kind of know our thoughts. We're a little leery, and I can kind of speak for both of us on this. We're a little leery when government's like, we're going to ban food. It's like, whoa. I like freedom. You know what I mean? Just be honest about it, right? Yeah. So, like, when companies are allowed to put known pollutants, you're killing people. That's what you stop.
Yeah.
They're crossing lines. They know, like, red dye and all that crap is bad. So, yes, let's hold these people accountable. We've known this for years, right? Vaccine companies. You sent me a study last night just on vaccinations. It's a whole other topic we'll get into later. But when you're looking at this, we're saying, okay, even Robert Kennedy said something, and I don't know if it's in one of your videos, about his boss eats McDonald's.
No, I don't think that one is in here. But
it's funny what he said. Yeah, he said I'm not trying to control what people eat. That's not my job because my boss eats McDonald's and, drinks Cokes,
And
Diet
meanwhile,
Cokes.
everybody's imagining Trump and RFK Jr. and Elon on the plane
right.
eating McDonald's.
Eating McDonald's. And so, he's like, I'm not trying to control you. I'm just trying to merely state that, there's either healthier alternatives or getting honest about what's in our foods.
Yeah.
Which is great. The fluoride issue. Great. All that stuff. So, obviously, people are going to get pissed about this. When you disrupt the law, when you don't uphold the law for so long, Thomas Paine once said, a long habit of not thinking a thing to be right gives it a superficial, not thinking a thing to be wrong, I'm sorry. A long habit of not thinking a thing to be wrong gives it a superficial appearance of it being right. And so for a long time, we weren't even thinking about the law, the Constitution, border stuff. We're just saying, hey, everybody's an anchor baby. If you have a baby in the country, it's a citizen. We're not even thinking about what the original 14th Amendment was. We're not thinking about the debates of it. We don't even think about our Constitution anymore when it comes down to what healthcare is. We don't even know what the Constitution says. Are you going to guarantee we're going to all get healthcare? It's like you don't even know what the Constitution says. So when we don't know that, and then someone comes in and says, no, we're actually going to uphold law here for a minute.
Everybody's brain explodes.
Yeah, everybody's brain explodes because they don't know what the law is. Matter of fact, Chris Ann Hall, if you guys haven't checked her out, go do it. She's now saying that the states, and I agree with her on this, the states don't have the authority to create their own immigration laws. They have to follow federal ones.
Which makes sense.
They can execute the federal ones,
right?
But they can't create their own state kind of laws against immigration. That's actually a federal government jurisdiction.
Make your point, but there's a logic to it that I want to pull out.
And what she's saying is Florida is starting to kind of do their own thing. And she's like, we got to stop this because it's giving them too much overreach in their states, whatever. And I'm like, I get what she's saying because constitutionally it's right. I do say too, if your federal government's a wimp, and then she says to that, that's why they uphold federal law. The states have a duty to uphold the federal laws already. She actually says immigration laws that already exist are stronger than what Trump is proposing. And so I was like, you know what? I never thought about it until she said it, and I looked it up. I'm like, she's right. It's actually true. And so what we don't want to do is create states to make their own jurisdictions. That creates a tyranny in and of itself with anything, health, borders, all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think where this comes into play, especially for the states, if a state allows somebody across the border that federal law would not allow across the border, that person then has free access to all of the other states. So it makes sense that all the states would come together, conceivably, in Congress and create a law structure.
Right.
This is going to govern how we as a nation allow people across the borders, because what California does actually does affect Nebraska, Wyoming, Ohio, because those people have free access. Now, if each state had to protect its borders against all the other states, then you might have an argument like, okay, they do whatever they want because Nevada and Arizona can protect against them. But there is a logic and a reason to, hey, there are plenty of things where you as states handle your own stuff. Under immigration, now you better follow the federal law. Now, I am with you if there is a question of, let's say the federal law was super, super lax, or they weren't enforcing the federal law, then
what does a state do? Yeah.
What does a state do? Can a state go above and beyond what the federal law is? If I were to just sit in a safe seat, I would say, well, there's probably more upside than downside to a state going, well, we're going to enforce the law and then one level up, because you're more protective against things, and I'm not dying on that hill of doctrine, but I would rather see a state go a little bit above federal law than go underneath federal law.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I do think too, you kind of brought up an analogy of states protecting themselves, which the federal government would come in and say, well, now you're violating the interstate and intrastate commerce, inter and intrastate commerce laws, right? Because now you're saying who can come in and who can come out.
Right.
So it's like really weird, right? We got this whole. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot more complicated and it's very simple, but it's a lot more complicated because we have not upheld law for so long. So then you get guys who are zealous and for right reasons, like a DeSantis or whoever, and they're like, okay, let's start handling business. You know what I mean? It's like we haven't had it done before. It's why DeSantis was such a misnomer in 2020. He was doing things that no one else was doing. And it was constitutional what he was doing. Keep the state open. Federal government doesn't have the authority to tell us what to do and not to do with our state. Blah, 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 blah. They can't write federal laws against the people themselves about shutting down. He was right. He was right about all these things. And I'm not saying he said those things. I'm saying that was basically the sentiment.
That was his philosophy.
His philosophy. And so, yes, the states. So even going back to Robert Kennedy, getting back on the train, because Mike's teeing up some videos and things that we saw. He's obviously getting shellacked by not only a left, but probably some on the right, too, who are in deep pockets of people who are in the interest of pharmaceutical industries.
I'll actually go ahead and put this up. Keep talking, and then I'll read some of the numbers.
Yeah. A lot of these guys may be in the pocket of food processing companies and ingredient companies and all these other things. He's probably bucking against a corporate welfare system, obviously, that seeks to keep people on healthcare because it's a constant moneymaker, right? Mm-hmm. They're dealing with a lot of people who are paid by vaccine companies, right? And again, if you read anything of what RFK is, he's vaccinated. The guy's not against every vaccine. I'm definitely an anti-vaxxer myself. That's just my opinion, but he's not. So he's all about health. And so I'm not saying he's right in everything. I think his climate positions, I think sometimes he's been a globalist. I think there's all these things. But on these specific issues, I'm like, okay, if he stays that lane, we talked about this. He stays that lane, he's not only going to make people mad, but he's kicking a hornet's nest because the hornets have learned to live in their nest. That's the wrong nest.
Yeah.
So now he's saying, no, this is actually the right nest we're supposed to be right now. And they're like, and I'm not saying everything he says is right. I'm saying we're going to go through some things that he said where it's like, thumbs up.
How can they have 3 nests in New England, if they don't keep that hornet's nest of money flowing in from the pharmaceuticals? Not
that's a good
naming
word.
Anybody
and driving an Audi R8.
Yeah. Nobody in particular, Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
Who did kind of top the list of healthcare campaign contributions. So there is a spreadsheet that if you're listening, don't worry, I'll synthesize it. But contributions, you could say, from pharmaceutical and health products, pharmaceutical manufacturing, health insurance and HMOs, hospitals and nursing homes, medical devices and supplies, some more. Bernie Sanders, from 1990 to 2024, took in over $23 million in contributions from these various sectors.
But no. I did not take from them. It was from the people. It was from the individual. It was many individuals. No.
Nope. The employees. It was all the employees, never a CEO. And don't forget, we got Ralph Warnock, $14.7 million.
No,
not a cent from the CEOs. Elizabeth Warren, $10 million. No.
I wish you had a picture of Bernie every time I did that. No.
That's the next meme that has to go viral. No. Ron Wyden, $6 million. Patty Murray, $5.8 million. Tammy Baldwin, $4.9 million. Catherine Cortez Masto, $3.7 million. Michael Bennett, $3.6 million. Tim Kaine, $3.3 million. Christopher Murphy, $3.1 million.
No.
Maggie Hassan, $3 million.
No.
Ed Markey, $2.3 million.
These people.
John Hickenlooper, $2.3 million. Lisa Blunt Rochester, $2.2 million. Maria Cartwell, $2.1 million. And you're probably like, okay, Mike, we get it. No, I'm going to read the whole list. Ben Ray Illusion, $2 million. Andy Kim, $1.6 million. Tina Smith, $1.4 million. Sheldon Whitehouse, $1.4 million. Peter Welch, $1 million. And coming in last, at least on the list, they must not care about you, Angela. Angela also Brooks, $999,000.
No.
Or $990,000.
No.
Not a cent from CEOs.
Why don't we talk about this for a second? Why do you think he got so many contributions from these places? Let's say, could it be that he's for universal health care and these people would be in business the rest of their lives?
No. Wait, yes.
Could it be that there's experimental drugs that haven't hit the market yet that with universal health care would have to pay for, which would keep these companies in business for life?
No. Maybe.
Could it be that Bernie Sanders has never had a job in his life and this has been the most cushy place he's ever been to?
Yes.
I think there's something going on here. Now, he may deny that he never got anything from a CEO, which probably is true. But that does not stop other ways of getting contributions. He's saying, no, I didn't get it from CEOs. True, you probably didn't. There's no question. However, However, even if he did or didn't, let's just go with that. There are other ways of accruing donations from people.
Contributions seem to make their way into people's pockets in different avenues and methods and ways. And I'm going to go ahead and roll that
Go
one
ahead,
now.
buddy.
I
ahead.
had Elizabeth
Nail
Warren
it.
teed up, but we're going for you, Sanders, because we just...
No.
No.
Why did I pull a Nixon? I just did a Nixon.
He
I went like,
liberal Nixon? I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm going to make
Socialist,
America
whatever.
healthier than
Whatever.
other
Here we
countries in the world right now.
Will
with
you
the sickness.
guarantee do what every other major country does? That's a simple question.
And by the way, Bernie, the problem of corruption is not just in the federal agencies; it's in Congress too. Almost all the members of this panel are accepting, including yourself, are accepting millions of dollars from the pharmaceutical industry and protecting their interests.
Oh, I thought that would no. I ran for president like you. I got millions and millions
1.5.
of contributions. They did not come from the executives. Not one nickel of PAC money from the pharmaceutical industry.
Probably true.
Oh. Whoa. No. Not a single cent
From the executives.
from the executives.
What about all the other ways you could have gotten those contributions? He wasn't lying.
No.
I'm sure.
No, he's probably telling the truth.
And he probably